On every Saturday last year, I would make my way home from dance by the 3 train at the Times Square subway station. And consistently every week, the same homeless man, sitting in the same spot, holding the same sign, was there. Now, I must have walked past this man over 20 times, but what I really noticed in him was a lack of spirit. But as a year went by, we started making eye contact with each other, and within those 2 seconds, although we were total strangers to each other, it felt like we made an unspoken connection. And on one random weekend, I simply smiled at him, and he immediately smiled back. And though I never asked for his name nor his story, that little silent gesture became our thing. And while this year my train rides in Times Square aren't as frequent anymore, that feeling of extending dignity to him has stuck with me ever since. In elementary school, you were taught that food, water, and shelter are the 3 fundamental requirements for human survival. And around the same age, you are taught something else: to avoid eye contact with strangers, to cross the street when something looks unfamiliar, or to move to another subway car when something feels off. Now, I grew up in New York City and have been consistently taking the subway since I was around 10 years old. And what I've noticed is that when people encounter a homeless person in the station, their immediate reaction is fear, discomfort, or frustration. Now, if this sounds like you, trust me, this was once like me too. But in order to move past this discomfort, it is so crucial that we move away from the assumption that this homelessness is by choice, and rather understand the very systems that have failed these people repeatedly. So today, I'm calling attention to the 350,000 homeless New Yorkers. During an internship last summer with a nonprofit called Volunteers of America, I worked closely alongside dedicated staff and advocates serving New York's unhoused population, and continuing that journey this summer with Assemblymember Rosenthal, who is the chair of the Committee on Housing. And through these experiences, I've learned some crucial information about our city's system that I've loved to share with you all today. So for fiscal year 27, New York City's projected social safety net budget for homelessness services alone is around $4.4 billion. But yet a recent Streets Blog study revealed that this system still cannot reliably or effectively get a person in a psychiatric crisis into a hospital bed. So let me break it down for you. When a worker spots a homeless person in the station, they don't actually have the authority to act on it alone. They have to call a healthcare professional, who then calls the police, who then determines if an ambulance is needed, and this involves numerous agencies, and by the time everyone arrives, hours could have passed. Now, say the patient is successfully transported into the emergency room, they could wait another several hours before they are actually seen, and if they appear rational at that point, they are medicated, discharged, or sent back to a home they don't actually have, meaning they end up back on the subway, and many call the cycle treated and streeted. Now, if you're still concerned with the dangers of homeless people, allow me to share a statistic from the National Alliance to End Homelessness that states, people living on the streets without a home are far more likely to be victims of violent crime than they are to commit such crimes. Let me say that again. Homeless people are far more likely to be victims of crime. Now, if you're still sitting here thinking, nothing I could do would possibly make a difference, then let me kindly tell you that you are wrong. I want to encourage each and every one of you to make the conscious choice to acknowledge the person, not by their looks, not by their stereotype, and not by their level of danger. Let us all make it our mission to provide every person experiencing homelessness with not just food, water, and shelter, but also the feeling that they matter to someone. Humans deserve to be seen, and truly recognizing that, one smile at a time, is exactly what makes us human. Thank you.